Hey guys, welcome back. At this point in time, you guys are through the first two stages. You've covered how to create an awesome accomplishment-based resume that should be looking fantastic right now, and you're way ahead of your competition. You also, at this point in time, should know how to interview like a pro if you've gone through Module 2, all the tips and tricks you needed to really stand out and turn those interviews into jobs. In this module, we're going to teach you how to take that awesome accomplishment-based resume and turn it into interviews. And this is the part, I think, where a lot of people are misinformed and they think that I've got a great resume and that should get me jobs. Well, that's an important step, but you need to put the resume in the right places in order to turn that into jobs. And let's talk about how we do that. So the first thing we need to do, guys, is we need to avoid the dreaded black hole. Now, you guys know what the dreaded black hole is? I'm sure you do. You just maybe haven't heard of it called that way. It's called places like Hot Jobs and Simply Hired and Craigslist and Indeed and ZipRecruiter and Monster. All these job aggregators and job boards, or even sending directly into company job boards on their own websites, right? What happens when you do that? You send a resume off and crickets, right? You never hear back. It can go a day, a week, a month. You probably send 100 resumes and you're lucky if you get one reply. You know what? The reason is that online black hole will not give you a job. And why is that? It's one of the things I have to do with my clients, especially recent graduates, is that people think that the way you get a job today is that you get a resume and you send it into one of these million job posts out there, right? Well, unfortunately, that's not really the way people get jobs, because you may not know this, but 80% of jobs are not advertised. And why is that? Well, let me do a little inside baseball for you. What happens is, if a hiring manager, let's say I post a job for a vice president of marketing and I post it on the web, what happens? I end up getting hundreds, if not thousands, of resumes that are not remotely qualified to be a VP of marketing, right? I might get people that are janitors or they work at McDonald's or whatever else, thinking that they're qualified to be VP of marketing. Well, now imagine that I'm an internal recruiter and I work at, let's say, Coca-Cola, and I post that job. Well, guess what? That's only one of probably 20 or 30 positions I'm working on at any given time. And so if you imagine I get 1,000 resumes for that post, now multiply that times 20 or 30, right? That's 30,000 resumes I've got to read. And I'm never going to read them. It just isn't going to happen. And because of that, the model today is broken. That submitting resumes online, your chance of getting a job that way is like 1 in 100. But don't worry, because we've got a way to sidestep that I taught you in the webinar. We're going to go into detail today. So, as I mentioned, they get way more resume submissions than they can possibly review. And because of that, most resumes aren't even screened by a human being. They go through a computer first, and they look for keywords. And if you don't have the right keywords, your resume never even gets read. And if it does get read, it gets read for 6 seconds, right? So how do we bypass that? Well, only 15% of hires happen through online job postings, okay? And if they do get read, it's read by a junior level HR professional that usually isn't real familiar with the job you're applying for. And as I mentioned, you got 6 seconds, okay? So how do we bypass that black hole? Well, here's what we're going to do. We've got 3 key strategies that is going to totally change your job search. It's going to take that fantastic resume you've got and it's going to land it right in the hiring manager's desk. And trust me, guys, it is going to totally change the amount of interviews you get. I use this process with every one of my clients, and I haven't failed yet. Every single person I talk to that I work with, within a couple weeks, we've got interviews for them using this model, okay? So we're going to create a detailed LinkedIn profile. We're going to post your resume everywhere, and we are going to contact hiring managers directly. And that is how we're going to avoid the black hole and get you interviews, okay? So let's go through this a little bit. Creating a detailed LinkedIn account. And I'll bring up the web here, guys, and I'll show you how to do some of this stuff. You need to put all of your resume details on your LinkedIn account. And I'm going to stop here for a second. If you guys have not heard of LinkedIn, okay, you need to go get on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the professional version of Facebook. There is literally 100 million people in the United States on LinkedIn. It is, in essence, your online professional profile. It's your resume, if you will. And what's happened today, guys, is that employers don't post jobs and have you come to them. They go look for you. And that's the real nuance. That's the change in the way that people find jobs today. And because of that, we want to be found. And in order to be found, we've got to be everywhere. Well, the first place most employers look is LinkedIn. Whether they're an internal recruiter, an external recruiter like myself, the first place they're going to go to find talent is they're going to go to LinkedIn. So we got to make certain that you are really easy to find on LinkedIn so that your name's going to pop up when they're doing a search, and that's how you're going to get some traction with your resume. Okay? So when you do this, you want to put all your resume details on your LinkedIn account. You want to make certain to include your email address, and you want to load a copy of your resume in your LinkedIn profile. And let me bring that up real quick. Okay, guys, so what you can see here, this is the homepage for LinkedIn, and this is where you just go create your account. You put your, like anything that you create online. I'm not going to go into this level of detail. You guys know how to create an account online. Okay, that's what the homepage looks like. All right, and then once you're in, here's what the member area looks like. Okay, and so what you want to do is you want to go in and you want to create your profile. I'm going to pull up my profile for you to look at, and what you can see here, guys, is you can put all your work experience in. And you can see I don't have a ton of details because I'm not looking for a job. But for people who are looking for a job, when add description and all these details, you in essence are going to load your resume onto LinkedIn, where you put all your bullet point section, everything that we created, right, as far as your duties and your accomplishments, you put them in this description section here for every one of these jobs. Okay? That's what you want to do. In addition, in the summary section, I want you to put your name and your phone, or not your name, you got your name, your email address and your phone number. And the reason for that is, as a recruiter, when I go out and look for people, if you don't have an email address there, I've got to send you what's called an in-mail. And LinkedIn will sell me in-mails I can send to you. The problem is I can only buy like $75 a month, and they're expensive. So if you make it hard for me to find you, I won't contact you. We want to make it as simple and as easy for hiring managers to contact you as possible. So when you create your LinkedIn profile, I want you to put all your details in here, all your details in the experience, because that's going to help them when I'm searching for you. We put all those keywords into your resume already. You're going to pop up, okay? But then I also want to put your contact information in the summary section so I can easily find your email address and your phone number. In addition, in your most recent experience here where you can add a document here or a presentation, I want you to load up a PDF version of your resume. All right, I want it there because that way, as a hiring manager or as a recruiter, I can download your resume and I've got everything I need. And so when I'm searching for somebody, I use LinkedIn to go find you, and bam, there's your resume. I can print it off and I can contact you. Guys, this one step will double or triple your success rate, I guarantee you, because people will go out and find you on LinkedIn, and it's a really important step. Now, one of the challenges with LinkedIn, guys, is that you can only see, I'm going to go to my home screen here, you can only see up to your third degree of connections. Okay, so as a hiring manager, I'm going to go into this advanced search, and if I'm searching for somebody, let's go say I'm looking for a VP of marketing. Okay, now when I pull this up, what's going to happen is I'm going to see my first degree, my second degree, and my third degree connections. Okay, and what that means is LinkedIn limits what I can see. I can only see it to my third degree of connections. Okay, and because of that, that creates a problem. So if you have a very small network, right, if you've only got one connection, then you're going to have a hard time being shown up in my search results, right? You got to go build your network. Just like if you're building your friends in Facebook, you've got to build your network on LinkedIn. And luckily, there is a free way that you can do this and you can ramp up quickly. And it's called TopLinked, okay? TopLinked it's a website that basically it's power users of LinkedIn, okay? People with 10, 15, 20,000 connections. And what you want to do is you want to get linked up to these people, because by being in their network, it'll expand your network dramatically. In fact, if you go do this, you'll get your third degree network up to 10 million people, and that's what you need to do, okay? So if you go to toplink.com, you go click here to sign up. Now they've got a pay plan where you can add yourself to the list and people will contact you. I would just do the free one, And what they do is they give you a list of emails. I can't remember how many it is. It's hundreds. And it gives you a list of email addresses of people who have signed up and said, yes, contact me on LinkedIn and I will accept your request and add you to my network. And by doing this, by using this free service, guys, you will quickly increase your LinkedIn exposure to like 10 million people, which will allow your profile to be found on LinkedIn by recruiters, by hiring managers, okay? So that's the first step. We want to get your LinkedIn profile set up. Okay, so once you do that, you've got your LinkedIn account set up, guys. You've gone to TopLinked and you've taken that list and you've sent out your request to all those people. So you've expanded your LinkedIn network dramatically. So now you're getting found. You also included your resume on LinkedIn, and you also included your email address and phone number in the summary section. Okay. Now, another thing you need to do is you need to make certain that your resume is everywhere, right? So we've got it on LinkedIn, which is the number one place, by the way, where recruiters and hiring managers look, but it's not the only place. And another thing you want to do is you want to get your resume on all of the job websites. There's literally hundreds. I mentioned, Craigslist and Indeed and Simply Hired and Monster. You want to post your resume everywhere out there, guys. Now, if you've got more money than time, you can use, there's a link below called Resume Rabbit, okay? And Resume Rabbit will do this for you. I think they hook it up to like 95 different posts, different websites, and I think it's like, I don't know, $30 or $40, whatever it is. If you'd rather do it on your own, right, you can go manually set them up, post them to every one of these sites. It's up to you. But if you just want to blast it out there and do it really quickly, there's a link below to Resume Rabbit, and that will sign you up, and you can spend the $30 or $40, and that will blast your resume to all of those places. Okay? So the first step for us is to get found, right? We get our resume out there, we get our LinkedIn profile built, we get our resume posted on all these different websites, right? The second step is now, we're not going to wait to just get found though. Like, that's a good first step, but what we're going to do next is really going to change your job search, because it's going to get your resume. We're not waiting to get found, we're going to get it right in the hiring manager's desk. Well, how do we do that? Well, the way that we avoid the black hole, guys, is we identify hiring managers and we email them directly. And you're like, Joe, how do I find hiring managers? Well, as I mentioned, LinkedIn before, we're going to use LinkedIn again. And here's what this is going to do. This is the reason why you're ultimately going to need to upgrade your account if you're going to do this, okay? But what we can do is, let me bring LinkedIn back up. Okay, back into LinkedIn, guys. Now remember, like, I looked for a VP of marketing. Let's go to the advanced search. And once again, you've got to have your network built before you can do this, okay? That to see your third degree connections, you have to pay to see your third degree connection. We'll talk about that in a second. But for now, let's just do a quick search. So let's say that I live in Minneapolis. Let's go say we live in Minneapolis. Let me go find location. I'm going to choose the greater Minneapolis area. And let's say I want a job in marketing. What you do is you figure out, do you want a job in marketing or finance or sales or supply chain or whatever it is. And then we put that word up here in keywords. Okay? And then in the title section, you're going to do a couple searches. You'll look for manager. That's one search we'll do. And then another search will be director. Okay? And what we're looking for is we're looking for people who are in position to hire, right? Because those are the people that are going to ultimately make decisions and are going to get us interviews. Okay, so in this case, we're going to look for director, and I'm going to do current. We don't want current or past, we just want current. Okay? And that's going to bring up 24,000 results in Minneapolis, right? And what it gives us, guys, it gives us a name and it gives us a company right here, right? Gives us a name and the company, right? We are halfway there to contacting these individuals to get us jobs, okay? Now, in order to see all of your connections, your first, second, third degree connections, guys, you're going to have to upgrade your account. And let's talk about that next. Okay, guys, to see your third degree connections, you're going to have to buy a sales account. And the sales account is $129, okay? And I know it's a lot of money, but trust me, it's worth it, because what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to see up to your third degree connections. And you need to do the TopLink thing first, because if you went and bought this before you did TopLink and you have no network, no connections, you're not going to have any third degree connections. But if you go to the TopLink thing, which is free, once you get it built, then you go buy your professional grade LinkedIn account for $129, and you can see, remember I showed the Minneapolis example, there's 24,000 hiring managers, right? And I can go get as many of them as I want. I've got their first name and their last name, and I've got their company name, right? And so that's all I need to contact them. So I've got and I can figure out their email address, and I'm going to show you how to do that next. Once we've got the first name and the last name of the individual, we can figure out what their email address is, guys. And here's how we do it. For the standard email format for corporations today is first.last@companydomain.com. Let's use an example. Let's say Target, for example. If Target is the domain, and I'll show you how to go find the email domain, it's usually just the website, probably 90% of the time. It would be joe.flannery@target.com. Right? That is going to be roughly 40% of the email addresses out there in corporate America is first.last@companydomain.com. Another 40% of the email addresses is FLAST. So the first initial of the first name and the last name at companydomain.com. Okay? So this combined with LinkedIn, you can now identify as many hiring managers as you want, right? And you've got their email addresses now. Now it's not, like I said, you're going to have some bounces. And that's okay. This is a numbers game. You send enough emails out, like you're going to get interviews, okay? But now that you've got the format, you can go find the hiring managers, you can go write the emails, you've got their email address, and you can send that off, okay? Now, I told you in the webinar that I have a super secret source to find hiring managers that's actually free. So if you don't want to do the LinkedIn thing, I do have another source for you to find hiring managers. And that's called jigsaw.com, okay? Let me pull that up real quick. Okay, guys, so when I type in jigsaw.com, what you're going to see, it doesn't actually go to Jigsaw. Jigsaw used to exist. It doesn't exist anymore. It's now data.com, and it's a little hard to find on data.com. So if you type in jigsaw.com, it'll take you to a sign-up screen. The sign-up screen looks like this. Okay, so here's your sign-up screen. Start your account today, and you just do the free one. Guys, you don't need to pay for this, okay? You can just go do a free one, and this will be free to find hiring managers. I'm going to show you how we do this, okay? All right, guys, so I'm in my account. This is what your account will look like. And I'm going to go do an advanced search, okay? And so let's go back. Let's go do the same search we did in Minneapolis. So I'm going to go look in. I'm going to go here in the United States. I'm going to go down to Minnesota. Okay, actually, I take that back. I'm going to do metro areas instead, and we're going to go get Minneapolis. Okay, right there it is. And I'm going to go look for, in marketing, they're in the marketing department, right? Because I'm looking for a marketing job. Let's just do manager level. All right, we did director before. We'll do director level. Okay? And I'm going to go hit search. 800 contacts. Now, what you're noticing here, guys, a lot less. This is a much smaller resource for contacts. But it is free. So that's one of the downsides here is that you're not going to have as many contacts to hit. So the best bet is to go with LinkedIn. But if you really don't want to spend the money and you want to try this first, great, try this first. But what you'll see here is I've got names and I've got companies. Okay, it's the same thing in LinkedIn, right? I've got everything I need to go create their email address out of here. Okay. In addition, we can use Jigsaw to go find domains for companies, okay? If I go back to my advanced search, I go in, and instead of the Find Contacts tab up here, I'm going to go to Find Companies. And in this case, let's say that at 3M, I saw 3M come up. Let's go look for 3M, okay? Go pull them up, and there's a 3M company, and I can click in there, and look what information this gives me. It gives me the basic information, gives me locations, and it gives me their domains. Okay, so in their domains, I think that their email address is probably 3m.com, okay, but these are some other ones in case that doesn't work. And some of these are right, some of these are wrong. You know, this is a self-populated piece, but 9 times out of 10, I would just take this first domain. Okay, that's probably going to be the most common one, or the main one that you can use for the email address, right? But pretty slick, isn't it? It gives you all the information. Like I said, it's a much smaller list of hiring managers, but it's free. And like I said, I would still recommend doing LinkedIn. I think it's a more robust application. It's more up to date. There's more hiring managers for you to contact. But if you want to do it inexpensively, you can use Jigsaw. Okay, so now that we've found the hiring managers, right, and we've figured out the email address, makes sense, guys? We've got a couple of the key pieces. Well, now we need to send them an email. Well, what do we put in the email? Okay, and by the way, these have been tested. I've sent thousands and thousands of these. Trust me, this works. In fact, we're going to include it below as a couple actual scripts that you can use yourself. But I'm going to do an overview here in this presentation. So, first thing, in the subject line, you should put the word resume. Guys, we have tested this over and over and over. It's one of the highest open rates. You should get a 40 to 50% open rate on your email if you put the word resume in your subject line. Because most people, what we found is at the end of the day, most people want to help people. It's human instinct. When you email somebody looking for a job, most people are going to be really nice and try and help. All right, so in the first subject line, you want to put the word resume. Secondly, when you open up the email, like in your first sentence, you're going to ask them for help. Hey, my name is so-and-so, and I'm looking for a job. I want to see if you'd be willing to help me, right? Then you tell them what you're looking for. I'm looking for an entry-level marketing job or entry-level finance job, right? And then you put 3 to 5 bullet points highlighting your accomplishments. Is this starting to see a theme here, guys? Remember all the work we did on the accomplishments in the resume module? You can now use the 2, 3, 4, 5, like the best bullet points you've got. They can be from multiple jobs, and you put those in this email, okay? Then, after you do that, in the next sentence, you ask them if they have an opening. Like, do you have an opening you're looking to fill? But then say, if you don't, do you know of someone who does? And then you want to thank them for your help and for their help. And then once again, do not forget to include your resume. And then at the bottom, I want you to include your name, email address, and phone number. Make it really, really easy for them to contact you guys. Okay? It's really important that you do that. And what you're going to find is that a lot of times people are going, either whether they have a job or not, they will forward your resume other places, right? Which is fantastic. And that's really it. Like, that's the main crux of it, guys. If you do this, you will get interviews. Like, you absolutely will get interviews. Now, a couple notes on the type of replies you're going to get. I would say roughly, if you send, let's say you send 1,000 emails. Okay, what's going to happen is 10% of them they're going to be nice and they're going to want to help you. Okay, you're going to get maybe another 20% that direct you to the website or something like that. Even though they're being helpful, they're not really, right? They're just not the right person. They're not a hiring manager. Okay, so you politely thank them, right, and just move on your way. You will, out of 1,000 emails, you're going to get 1 or 2 kind of nasty ones back. And the reply will be something like, hey, how'd you get my email, blah, 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 right? And all you do is you politely reply back and say, hey, thank you, just so you know, I found you on LinkedIn, I figured out your email address, and I was trying to find a job. And people are pretty cool with that. But you send enough emails out, you're gonna get 1 or 2 nasty replies. It's just human nature. There's just some people that are not nice. But the vast majority can be really, really super helpful, guys. And so if you do this, if you take that awesome resume you've created, if you go create the LinkedIn profile so you can get found, if you go and get your resume on every job board possible, right? And then most importantly, if you do these steps and you email them directly to hiring managers, which we've shown you how to find, you will get interviews. I can't tell you guys, it's worked for every one of my clients. Once I get them through writing the resume and we start sending emails, we get replies the next day. And in a lot of cases, we have interviews that week. It happens all the darn time. The key is, it's a numbers game, guys. It just is. You need to get, historically what we found is you need to send about 1,000 to 2,000 emails in order for you to get a job. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but trust me, it's worth it. It will work. It always does. And in the future, we're going to be coming out with a product to help with that. We don't have one today, but we do have an internal product that we automate that process, and that'll be coming in the future. But for now, you've got all the tools you need to do it on your own, guys. So awesome. Take that great resume, go get an interview and get a job. I'm excited for you, and I love to hear your success stories. Thanks, guys.